roll. But it's been a crazy week, crazy week. Listen, y'all, please don't hurt me. If I haven't texted you back, got to your voice note or whatever, I promise I'm getting to it today and this week. It has been a crazy week, as I told you all. I was finishing up the book. The book is done. Woo! Exclusive. The book is done. I'm super excited about it. And it's more than the book. I've never felt a mandate like this with a particular project. And maybe I have, I don't know, but I don't feel like I have, or with this level or sense of urgency that I felt. There is such an urgency on this. And I truly believe it's going to bless you and really be a tool that you can utilize, not just for now, but for later, even when you're coaching and you're mentoring those that you're assigned to. I truly believe this is going to be a guide that really helps people maximize life. I'm going to go ahead, just because y'all are my people, and give you the official title. And again, exclusive, because nobody knows. I don't know the exact release date just yet. I have to minister in California this coming weekend. So if you're in California, I think it's the Selma, California area. If you're in the area, stop on by. I'll post that later. But it's called Today's and Tomorrow's, a trailblazing guide to unearthing and nurturing once in a lifetime experiences. I'll say it one more time. It is called Today's and Tomorrow's, a trailblazing guide to unearthing and nurturing once in a lifetime experiences. So it's kind of in alignment with the teachings that we've been had, but there's much more. Remember, we were talking about the whole symbolism of in the book of Genesis, the snake, and then the symbolism in Revelation of how then the enemy was referred to a dragon. I opened that up inside of here. I opened up so many different things that I think is really going to bless you. But thank you all for your patience. I'm sharing that one to share it with y'all because y'all are my tribe, my people. No one even knows this is coming but you all. And then secondly, just thank you for your grace and patience, because it's been a crazy week, from book cover designs to ISBN numbers to writing and editing. I was going to hire someone to format and do stuff, and then it didn't happen. So then I had to do it. And so that's a tedious job while still working a tedious job, 9 to 5. But nonetheless, I'm really excited, and I really cannot wait for you all to get your hands on it. What I'll more than likely do is release the first chapter for free, so you all can kind of get an example of some things of what it would look like. It'll be released digitally in that form, and then I'll let you know the official release date and all that good stuff. But I'm excited. But listen, you all, I'm excited for what God's going to do today. I hope you all had a great week. Thank you for your congrats. I'm looking at your comments real quick. Yes, good morning. Good to see everybody. It's muggy outside. I don't know. It looks kind of weird out here too. All right, great. Well, let's jump right on in. Again, my whole point of saying that was I will get to those texts and voice notes and everything this week. I had to like be in a razor sharp focus, so I didn't lose my train of thoughts. And that's the other part. Y'all already know, I'm just sharing this as it relates to what you will build, what you will write. When you are a prophetic individual, I know, at least for me, when you are in a flow like that, it just drops, and it's like, if you don't get it out, if you don't stop everything and focus and write, you will lose it. You will absolutely lose it. And then you'll try to go back and piece it together, and you'll start missing stuff. And so I just encourage you, when you are hearing from the Lord, when you're sleeping, keep a notepad, something by you, because you do not want to miss the intricacies and the details of what God is trying to communicate to you, and the time in which he's trying to communicate it. When it comes to the prophetic, it's not just what's being said, it's about the timing as well. And that's why, like I said, with this book, that something about right now is why it has to come out, which is why I had to shift my whole agenda to push this thing and all of that, because it's not just prophetic words, it's timing of words. I've told you all before, even when it comes to investing and when it comes to those who are multimillionaires, they will tell you it's not just about, excuse me, it's not just about having money to invest. It's about knowing the time to invest it. You know, you can have a great voice all day long and know how to sing every riff, every run, and all of that. But singing in the shower, although that's great, nobody hears it. We talked about this maybe a year or so ago too, about some woman, if I'm not mistaken, who was at a train station in London, and she just happened to be walking and singing. And the right time in which she was singing, there was a social media influencer walking by. She didn't know, he didn't know, and he heard her, recorded her. Next thing you know, in less than 24 hours, she went viral and is now known all over the world. So what am I saying? You'll have prophetic promptings. You'll have prophetic insights. You'll have prophetic ideas. But when you sense it, do it. The word, the unction is just as important as the timing. If God says help that person, do it. If God says pray for that person, do it. Don't wait. We've talked about this. Just delayed obedience is disobedience. But we've got to move. And that's why we've been in this whole series of today's, tomorrow's, all of that. You only have today to do what you can do today. And what you do today shifts the narrative for tomorrow. You cannot wait. And there is an urgency on that. I don't know what God has called each of you to do. I don't know what's been on the back burner. I don't know what you've been waiting on, even though you might have justifiable reasons to wait. If you begin to really think about it, though, you will just move with a different level of zeal and plow through those, be it self-imposed limitations, cultural limitations, whatever it is, because you cannot wait. The enemy is working hard to just keep you in waiting, to keep you in isolation, to keep you in self-doubt. And you cannot stay there. And this is not even what I was talking about today, but you cannot stay there. You have to wake up every single day and find out, God, what is my assignment today? How do I show up today? What do I need to do today? And this is a daily thing, because when you wake up to a new day, it's a day you've never seen, and it's a day you will never see again. We've got to stop living in this cycle of just, oh, I'll do it tomorrow or whatever. No, you must do what you are called to do this day. It's geo-specific to this day. What I'm preaching to you, what I'm saying to you now is what's assigned for this moment in this day. I can't tell you this tomorrow. I can, but it's something about now. This is not even what I was going to. We've talked about this already, but it's like, I got to say it again. Like, we must understand the gravity, the depth, the weight of maximizing and seizing every single day. It is not a catchphrase. It's not something cute to just say. It's a mandate. It's a life strategy. It's a protocol. It's a way of life. If you do not understand and apply this principle with intentionality, you are going to miss years of your life that you cannot get back. You cannot get back. Can God still bless you? Yes. Can you still have peace of mind? Yes. Will you still have moments where you went to your favorite show or did your favorite thing? Yes. But did you fully live the fullness of life that God intended for you? God, like we have these pictures and these ideas of God, and we've been taught culturally that we're supposed to just struggle and be bound and, yes, have a heart of gratitude and be grateful. We're grateful. But I'm not saying be grateful and just keep living beneath your birthright and being unsatisfied and just dreaming dreams, but no intent or action or initiatives to make them come to fruition. No, that is not life. And we've got, like, who lied to us? What systems have been in place to shut us down? That is not life. Hear me loud and clear. And y'all know I get passionate and I feel myself getting ready to yell, and I'm going to hold it back. But that is not life. That is not life. Hear me. That is not life. Where your life is today is it's not even a fraction of what God's trying to do. But we keep allowing external forces and cultural norms and societal things to keep us pressured. Stop living life like that. And I'm going to let this go and get to the word. We've got to live, y'all. We got to live. We got to live. We got to live. Do you understand that when you live the life that God has called you to live, those childlike dreams you've had, those passions that you've had, when you begin to open that up for real and live, not only will you maximize your day, but then I truly believe you'll even live longer because you're living healthier, because you're not living in depression. You're not living with fear in your subconscious mind. You're not living with regret and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas of life. You're living with intentionality. You're living with purpose, and you're in divine alignment with God. And now there's an acceleration. There's things moving quickly. And I think I text y'all that. Let's hang that for a minute. But I heard God say that for this month, that whatever you do, it was going to be expedited this month, that there was going to be acceleration this month. I literally prophesied it, then lived it. I've never written a book in a week. Never. And not just the book, just to give more context. And again, I'm sharing this with y'all. When I did this, I had the photographer, everything in place, left work. I'm on my way to the shoot. My photographer gets sick, and now he can't shoot me. I'm like, what am I going to do? I got to get this done. I cannot wait. The videographer's ready. The people are ready. Things are in place. And now we don't have the main person to do what we got to do. Right when I got ready to go home, the Holy Spirit said, park your car. This was Tuesday. Yes, the Holy Spirit said, park your car. I then parked my car, and the Lord said, I gave you options. Use your options, because here it is. Remember, we've been talking about the today. I'm like, well, I guess if I ain't got no choice, I can do it tomorrow. But the timeline, I need to do it today, because as soon as it's done today, it can go into editing today. And then tomorrow's result will be going into publication. But now we have to stall. And so I said, wait a minute. And I went through my phone. I hit somebody up that I know who's a great photographer, never worked with them. I said, hey, man, this is what's going on. Do you have time? It's 5 o'clock. He said, if you can get here by 7:30, I'll make it work. I said, I'll be in the parking lot waiting for the next 2 hours. You tell me when you're ready. And we pivoted and moved and got it done. And things kept moving and all of that. My whole point is, even though it looked like a distraction, although there are things that came against it, I didn't stop. And that's the type of zeal that I need you to operate with. Just because someone cancels on you, that doesn't mean it's a sign to quit. It's a sign to pivot. Just because someone else drops the ball, that's fine. That doesn't mean your hands have to stop dribbling. It just means that particular person might not be a part of this particular project in this season. Doesn't make them bad. Doesn't end the relationship. It just means as a business and as an assignment, you pivot. Again, I'm just trying to share. You've got to wake up every single day and seize it. We cannot wait. We cannot wait. We cannot wait. All right, I'm moving because that's not even what I was getting to today. Welcome, everybody. I love you all. I'm grateful for you all. I'm excited for what God's going to do. I'm going to share a little bit of what I see here, and then I'm going to pray. Oh, I feel like running. So what I heard the Lord say this week, and just flow with me. I don't have an opening scripture for y'all today. I got examples and things I'll give you. I'm piecing this together as God is giving it to me. We're still in this whole concept of today's and tomorrow's and seizing the day. However, 2 words came to my spirit the last couple of days, and all that kept ringing in my spirit was irritation, irritation, irritation. And then this morning, as I was prepping, I kept then hearing the word unrest, irritation and unrest. And I'm like, God, what is going on? I had a couple of ideas of what that meant, but I'm like, all right, let's see what God is talking about. And of course, just for sake of definition, when you think about irritation, being irritated generally refers to the feelings of annoyance, some form of discomfort, if you will, caused by something that disrupts our peace, our routine. It challenges whatever we got going on, and it can manifest as frustration. It can manifest as impatience. It can manifest as dissatisfaction with the situation, dissatisfaction with the person, dissatisfaction even within yourself. This emotional response typically arises when we feel that our needs or desires are not being heard or being hindered or disregarded. And so when you think about irritation, you can have irritation of the skin. There could be irritation of I don't know, just several different things. And again, it can come from everyday annoyances, interpersonal conflicts. It can come from self-reflection of some things. And we'll see what's happening. But I have a couple of ideas as it relates to unrest and irritation as it relates to the context of our world right now. And that's truly what I'm believing. And hear me by way of the Spirit, because I'm flowing with God. I am sensing that in the days to come, if it hasn't even started already for some, that there is going to be, in the midst of celebratory things, there is going to be a spirit of irritation. And I see it on a global level, more distinctively a national level as it relates to those of us in America. But I see a trickle effect in different nations, different countries on a global level of irritation. And I see tiers to this. So I see global, political, but then what happens, and I've told you all this before, and I'm not saying that this all has to do with the presidential things and all of that, but I'm just going to use it as a sake of context. I've told you all before that whenever we go through drastic changes, it could be governmentally, it could be in your church, it could be in your job, it could be even in your household. If you move from one house to another house, or a new location to a new location, or one job to another, whenever there is drastic change, whether you like the person who's leading the change or not, what begins to happen is whatever's on the top, it trickles down, whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not. And I've even told you all, from a presidential perspective, the best thing you can do is extrapolate the positive nutrients from said leader and take those to the Lord in prayer as it relates to what mantle, what ingredient, if you will, is on this particular season. I hope that's making sense. And so with that said, I'm sensing a irritation. One, a irritation has to happen because nothing changes without it. So part of it is healthy. Part of it is absolutely healthy. I've taught you all this, like when it comes to pain. Without pain, you won't know that something in your body is out of order or something is emotionally off. Pain, if you assess it right and understand it right, is an awakening. It wakes you up. That's fine. But you have that. But then I'm sensing a demonic irritation that will try to mirror the healthy irritation. And that's what I want to caution you about, because God can use all things. Romans 8:28, using all things for our good. But I want to make sure that you're able to tap to the frequency of God, the ear of God, and rightly divide what's happening. And y'all, I hope this is making sense. I'm doing the best I can as God's giving it to me. I want you to rightly divide what you're sensing, what you're seeing, what conversations to engage in, what conversations not to engage in, because that's what's going to happen. God is going to order your steps. We know that. But literally, he is going to order your steps through these next few months. These next 6 to 7 months is what I'm hearing. He's going to order your steps. But watch your conversations. Watch what you're entertaining, because the enemy is going to try to pull you into some social media stuff, pull you into some conversational stuff, even amongst family, even what you might think is a simple conversation. Just be careful. Listen with a different ear, because what it's going to do is try to drop a spirit of irritation to trigger past traumas and things of that sort that throw you off. Because remember, I just told you, we've been in this whole thing about maximizing your day and curating your tomorrow. You do not want to fall prey to the demonic vices of irritation today, because then you will unknowingly, subconsciously, then create irritation for your tomorrow. And that's what the enemy will try to do. He will try to irritate you today to irritate your tomorrow. Distract you today to distract your tomorrow. Throw you off today to throw off your tomorrow. But you will not allow that. But it's going to be so subtle that you'll almost miss it. It's not going to look like it's blunt in your face. You're going to have to pay very close attention. Every day, let your prayer be, God, heighten my discernment. Give me a keen ear for this season. In fact, we'll pray it now. Father, we decree and declare that you are giving him a keen ear for this particular season. And you are giving these, your people, discernment at another level for this particular season. Father, give them what they need to sense the spirit of irritation and know what to do with it. Let their emotions and their feelings in the human experience not get thrown off to the things that you are doing in the realm of the spirit, but let them be 10 toes down. Let them stand firmly on your word and be able to stay in your divine timetable as it relates to what you are doing in this particular dispensation. Help them to ride the waves of change. Help them to be a catalyst of change. Help them not be succumb to the devices of the enemy, but let them see, hear, and sense at another level with all authority, with all power. Father, give them articulation, because it's one thing to sense, but it's another thing to be able to articulate. So Father, let them not just sense what you are doing, but give them the articulation and the wherewithal to take action in their personal lives, in their family, on their job, wherever you have assigned them in their sphere of influence. Give them the discernment and the know-how as to how they ought to move in this particular season. Father, I even speak protection over them. I see, and even with the spirit of irritation trying to cause harm in some form or fashion, especially against our women. And Father, I decree and declare protection over them, that you are sending angels on their left side, their right side, their front, and their back to walk with them and protect them as they're driving, if they're on the buses, if they're at work, wherever they are. Father, give them even a heightened sense to where they can hear, almost how like a dog can hear footsteps from miles away or hear breathing from miles away. Let them hear on that level so they are protected, they are covered, and nothing will come against them. Father, just heighten everything concerning them, their senses. Let them see, even their taste buds. Let them sense that if there's something off with the food in which they're eating or the drink that they're drinking, let them have that level of sensing, and let them not think it's being dramatic. Let them not think that we're just doing the most. It's not that. We are in a particular season where demonic forces, when there's great change, will do anything to stop the people of God, the plan of God, but we shabak and rejoice anyhow, because it will not and cannot work. But what we're praying for is discernment and heightened understanding to navigate the terrains of this new season and be wise as it relates to the spirit of irritation and unrest. And Father, even while we're praying, I just pray a special blessing over them. Keep them, guide them, protect them, strengthen them, and let the words that are coming out now, even when they go back to hear the replay, illuminate in their mind and their spirit even the more, where it makes specific sense to the calling and the mandate that is on their life. We bless you. We thank you. We honor you. We say, have your way, move by your spirit, release a word today that will edify, enrich, uplift, and we bind the spirit of retaliation that will try to come against any of us as it relates to prophetic words and insight that is given that would protect us. We come against the enemy trying to take our words, our prayers, our declarations, our messages, and use them against us or stifle us or make us think we're crazy. And all of these things, it's a lie. We renounce it, we rebuke it, we cast it down. We decree and declare that all is well, all is good, and we will be and do what you called us to do in this particular season without any hindrances, delays, or mishaps. In Jesus' holy, wonderful name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, let's keep going. So as it relates to this irritation and unrest, here are some examples. Number one, there is social unrest. This relates to protests, riots, or demonstrations against perceived injustices or inequalities. Number two, you have political unrest. And forgive me if I'm going fast. I'll try to slow down a little bit. This is discontent with government policies or leaders that lead to protests, strikes, or calls to reform. You have economic unrest. This is discontent arising from unemployment, inflation, or economic inequalities causing protests and things of that sort. We have labor unrest. This refers to strikes or walkouts by workers due to grievances over wages, working conditions, or treatment. Number 5, we have civil unrest. This refers to lawlessness or disorder stemming from a breakdown in civil order, often linked to community grievances. Number 6, you have cultural unrest. This is tension arising from differences in culture and beliefs and practices, which may lead to conflict. And I'm going to pause there for a minute to give you a second to catch up. But that's what I'm sensing. I am absolutely sensing a cultural unrest. I am sensing a civil unrest. I am sensing or unrest or irritation. I am sensing those things. So I'm giving you these so that way, as a collective body, we can begin to pray for strategy as it relates to how to move when it relates to some of these civil things and all of that. And I'm not saying you have to have a full working knowledge when it comes to these areas, but I'm give them to you so you can study on them, but understand our prayer points. And so what I am sensing heavy is a cultural unrest and irritation, a civil unrest and irritation. And of course, politically, socially, economically, all those things kind of fall under those umbrellas because it's all a ripple effect. And I think that's what I was trying to say when I said global. It's going to ripple effect in some form of fashion. All these areas may or may not touch you, but it might touch a piece of you. All right, let's keep going. I think I got to number 6. Number 7, environmental unrest. Environmental unrest. This refers to discontent related to environmental issues such as pollution, climate change, things of that sort. You have ethical unrest. This is conflict or discontent among different ethnic groups, often stemming from discrimination or historical grievances. You have religious unrest, conflicts and tension from differences in religious beliefs and practices. Number 10, you have unrest as it relates to our youth. This is protests or movements primarily driven by younger generations. And advocating for change or rejecting their status quo. You have gender unrest. This is a big one because you have people that believe in a certain lifestyle, being transgender and all these, I don't even know all the terms, y'all, but that's a whole thing. Keep that in prayer because that's the world we're living in right now. And as I've told you all before, as it relates to this particular ministry, we're not just going to preach, teach, and prophesy here. We are going to have these real life conversations because there's no point in just having church all day, shouting all day, but then we go out in the world and we don't know how to pray and communicate to these areas and these things. These things affect your life. These things affect your children. If you have children, I guarantee you they have already been in school with conversations concerning sexuality, transgender, LGBTQR, LMNOP, and all the stuff. I don't know all the things. So don't be afraid to have these conversations and don't be afraid to bring biblical principles and know how to in a culturally know how to have the conversation is what I'm trying to say. Know how to have the conversation and know how to deal with it. Because what it does when you don't know how to talk to it, it's going to create an unrest. It's going to create an irritation. And irritation and unrest, not properly managed, becomes a fight. And that's what we're trying to get to. There is going to be fights about beliefs. There already are. There are going to be fights about what we stand for. And one thing, man, I'm about to go on a tangent. What number did I leave off on so I can know where to come back? Gender. So when I come back off my tangent, we go to number 12. There's so much I'm seeing. I'm not going to go into particulars, but there's so much I've been seeing lately on social media from people who are supposed to be pastors and leaders and all this stuff, who are literally online bickering and fighting amongst each other and attacking each other. And it's so disgusting. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. And it's so disgusting. And I'm like, you're not even fighting over something real. You're fighting over a social media platform and who doesn't even like you. Meanwhile, in our world right now, we have gender wars, political wars, economic wars, racial wars, but like all these things. And we're as believers, as people who are supposed to be ordained and supposed to be called and supposed to be whatever, you'd rather have a social media war about someone talking about your clothes or someone not liking that you've been this and been that. It is so disgusting, y'all. It is so disgusting. I'm seeing people fight online about that Deliverance movie, and I'm not even going to go into it. I told y'all my take on it last week. I'm not going into it. Why are we fighting about dumb stuff? We don't have time. We don't have time. And that's another example of what I mean. When there's this irritation and this unrest, the enemy will lure you into this stuff, and now you're fighting about someone's opinion and you're fighting about someone's perspective. Although perspective and opinion is necessary, we don't have to fight about it, though. That's what I'm saying. There are too many real things happening right now that need your attention. You do not have time to focus on the mundane and things that are beneath your birthright. You are called to higher things. You are called for greater works. You are called for a better life. Stop having earthbound, poverty-minded conversations and getting caught up in that hoopla. No one's got time for that. That's what I mean. Don't allow that to get you to be unrestful and irritated. Shut that stuff down. Shut it down. You don't have time. You've got young people who need your voice. You have political leaders that need your voice. You have community activists that need your voice. Not just the church house, the church too, but you got people out here who are in this unrest with you. They don't know what to believe. They don't know who to turn to. And when they turn to the church, you got these modern day church people looking dumb. And I just got to say it straight up. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt embarrassed. And hear what I'm saying. I felt embarrassed the other day seeing some of the comments from these folks that are supposed to be Christian. And I even told the Lord, I said, God, I'm who you've called me to be, but I do not want to be associated with this mess. And then I began to rejoice, though, because all these years that I felt like I was rejected and I couldn't be a part of the crew, I'm so glad they rejected me. Thank God, I don't want to be a part of your stuff because y'all are foolish. 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 I don't want it. Nope, I'm good over here. I'm good. Like I just told y'all, meanwhile, while people are having these fights, we're writing books over here in record-breaking time. We're building businesses in record-breaking time. We're going through true deliverance. StratijeeLHE told her testimony about 2 weeks ago in record-breaking time. We're coming into understanding. Tanya's going back to school. All these things are happening in record-breaking time. People are coming into awareness and understanding. Meanwhile, everybody else is out there having these social media wars. We ain't got time for that. Let the children, that childlike mentality, let them do that. But we got grown folks over here. We don't have time. All right, number 12, health unrest. Health unrest refers to, it's kind of self-explanatory. Where'd my note go? Where are my notes? Public dissatisfaction during health crises and things of that sort, pandemic, things of that sort. Racial unrest, tension and conflicts brought to light by systemic racism and things of that sort. Urban unrest, discontent, specific to urban areas due to issues like gentrification, policing, housing, and insecurities. Oh, my Lord, you have educational unrest, protest or calls for reform within the educational system. You have digital unrest. Here we go. Issues arising from censorship, privacy concerns, or misinformation spreading through digital platforms. You have housing unrest, discontent over housing markets and things of that sort. Consumer unrest, political protests against unfair business practices and unethical corporate behaviors or consumer rights and violations. You have international unrest, tension arising between countries that can manifest in the protests and economic sanctions or military conflicts. And then ultimately you have mental unrest, increased awareness, and activism surrounding mental health stigmas and things of that sort. These are just a few of the unrest and the irritations that I'm sensing and I'm seeing that are here that will be affected based upon the things to come. And I want you to go back and write those down if I was going too fast for the sake of time, and begin to pray on those areas and ask God, how am I to show up within my region, within my space, to address some of these irritations and these unrest? But let's keep going. I want to give you some biblical references as it relates to irritations and unrest, because the reality is the healthy part of an irritation, the healthy part of an unrest is that it wakes you up. So although for some it'll be crazy. I just saw your comment, Nikki. Is it still freezing? Y'all let me know if it still is freezing and if y'all missed anything. It did show me that it was going out a little bit, but if we're back, what part did y'all miss? What did we miss? What did we miss? Okay, cool. All right, thank you. But again, those unrest, if it was freezing and missing, it'll be back on there. And if I need to repeat anything, just let me know. But what I was saying was, as it relates to biblical references for those that have dealt with unrest or irritations, I want you to understand that it's necessary. It's supposed to happen, but you are not to cower down in the midst of it. This is your opportunity for you to rise in it. So let's look at Moses real quick. Moses, another one of my favorite biblical characters. Moses was raised in Pharaoh's house, but grew up aware of his Hebrew heritage. He experienced levels of unrest and levels of irritation when he saw the suffering of his people. So that's a cultural unrest. When you see the suffering of people or the injustice of a certain demographic of people. And so here it is, though. What it did, though, for Moses, after witnessing an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, Moses killed the Egyptian in a fit of anger. This act led him to flee to Midian, where he spent years as a shepherd. And we know this story. His discomfort with the injustice he saw ultimately led him to return back to the place of injustice, which was Egypt, to lead the Israelites out of slavery. And this marked a monumental change, not just for Moses, but an entire nation. And so what I want you to understand is that God will allow you to feel unrest. He will allow you to feel irritation in your home, on your job, in your church, in your sphere, and he might call you out of it to train you, develop you, or what have you. But then he'll send you back to where the injustice was, or back to where the issue was, to be the voice of change. But because you live in it as well, you are sensing the irritation, just like Moses. He was there, he saw it, he was living in it, and now he's being affected by it. That he killed the man, but then he left, but in the leaving got trained, got developed, and went back. What I'm trying to get you to understand is, just because you're in it doesn't mean you have to be a recipient of it. You can sense and discern the weight of the irritation around you, but it doesn't have to get in you. And God will allow you, as prophetic and apostolic voices with high level discernment, to feel the weight of a thing so much that you feel like it's in you. But it's not in you in that regard. You're sensing it around you. And that's when you say, God, what do I do with this irritation? What part of this are you calling me to? How do you want me to show up as your ambassador in the earth realm? You are a modern day Nehemiah. He was sent as an ambassador to rebuild the wall. So God will send you as an ambassador to rebuild spaces, fix spaces, all of that. Your life is not your own. It's not your own. Let me give you another example. Let's look at King David. Young David faced many irritations, especially from King Saul, who became jealous of David's success and sought to kill him. This situation forced David to flee and live in hiding for years, enduring significant hardship. His discomfort, his unrest, his irritation, and constant threats to his life were precursors to his eventual rise as a king of Israel. This transition took years, so don't get mad at the wait, y'all. It'll take time. But this transition took years, but it was ultimately a fulfillment of God's promise to David. So understand, yes, he was already called king, but there's another leader, a Saul, a jealous man, a jealous mother, a jealous brother, a jealous this, a jealous friend, a jealous somebody in your life who might be irritated at the hand of God on your life and is then trying to kill you, whether it be kill your reputation, kill your confidence, kill your dreams, kill whatever to shut you down. But don't allow the irritation and the pain of it all to throw you off. Be humble. Let God process you because the promise of the Lord will still be fulfilled. It's an irritation to push you. It's an unrest to develop you. It's all working for your good. Let's look at another one. Jonah. Jonah was called by God to preach to Nineveh, but initially resisted this calling. Again, we know these stories. I'm just giving them to you as a point of context to build your faith as it relates to this. He felt discomfort about going to a city that he despised. His attempt to escape, though, led him to be swallowed by the great fish. This uncomfortable experience in darkness prompted him to reflect and ultimately obey God's command, and his eventual journey resulted in a major spiritual awakening for that city. His fear was an irritation. His fear was an unrest. And then God rerouted him, and yet he was able to fulfill the assignment. Let's keep going. We have Esther, a Jewish woman who became queen. She too faced many challenges of her people being threatened by a decree of alienation. Her initial discomfort stemmed from the fear of speaking up, the irritation, the unrest, fear of speaking, fear of not being heard, fear of being dismantled, being a woman, whatever the case may be. And so as she was feeling the weight of her people's suffering, hold on, someone else coming in. As she was feeling the weight of her people's suffering and her position, she decided to rise up and she chose to act, risking her own life to approach the king without even being summoned to talk to him. She approached the king, and this pivotal decision that was led by unrest, that was led by discomfort, that was led by irritation, it led to her saving her people, and it highlights her courage and leadership, signaling a major change in both her life and the fate of the Jews. Are you getting what I'm saying? Let's keep going. Paul, formerly known as Saul. Saul was a zealous persecutor of Christians until he encountered Jesus on the road to Damascus. His life was filled with a sense of purpose, but it was misaligned with God's will. Following his powerful conversion experience, Saul's irritation with his previous life led to dramatic changes. He transformed into Paul, a fervent apostle of Christ, ultimately traveling extensively to establish churches and spread the gospel, etc., etc., etc. What I'm trying to get you to see with those biblical references is that no matter how the unrest shows up in your life, no matter how the irritation shows up in your life, step back to figure out how God is going to use it to propel you, use it to push you. I just told you, I dealt with unrest, feeling like I was rejected, feeling like I was the oddball out, feeling like I'm too deep for people, or feeling like I'm just whatever. While everybody else wants motivational preaching, I'm trying to give you the actual Bible, and I feel like I'm being attacked for that. What did I do? But while I was being rejected, it was irritating. It wasn't restful. It was all these things. Now, as the tides are turning and the tables are turning and you have all this mess going on, people are looking for real voices. And now they're trying to figure out who are the pastors, who are the leaders, who are the prophets, who are the ones who aren't caught up in all of this stuff, who are the ones that aren't getting tainted with all this stuff, but have a track record of when they prophesy, it comes to pass. That has a track record of favor with God and man. That's Bible. That has a track record of being consistent and being in the will of God and seeing results. I've told y'all this. People are now moving to look for the fruitful. Where is the results? Where are the numbers? Where is the fruit? And there's a turning. And this is why I want you to be aware of everything that's going on, because there is a turning. And guess who they're going to turn to? They're going to turn to you. They're going to turn to you. All your years of feeling overlooked, all your years of feeling like you've been in the back, all your years of feeling like they didn't like you, whatever, it just wasn't your time. It was your time to prep and be developed and prepare. But I'm telling you, they are coming and they're going to look for solid voices. Don't get caught up in what was. That season is coming to a drastic end. It's happening right before our eyes. I've seen pastors and leaders that I've told people in private where men and women have got nothing negative, but I was like, the spirit on that one ain't right. And they were the popular voice and all the things. They looked at me like I was crazy. And now these people are being shut down. They're being exposed for doing things they shouldn't have been doing and cheating and lying. And they looking at me like, how did you know that? Literally years ago, over 10 years ago, there were things I called out that people just couldn't see. And I was attacked because I saw it and I said it. And now they're coming back to me like, you are a man of God. You did tell the truth. You did this. And I'm just looking like, glory to God. Like, I'm not about to act all whatever. I'm just like, I've had to learn that that's just what comes with the assignment. When you are prophetic, when you are apostolic, you will see ahead of the game. Even now, I'm giving you this prophetic word about this unrest and irritation. For some of you, it's probably like, okay, I hear you. But I promise you, in the days to come, it's going to hit like a ton of bricks and be like, oh, that's why he said that. And so even in your life, when you have to prophesy to people and show people and teach what's not popular and say what's not popular, you've got to be okay with them not getting it in the moment. You cannot take it personal. You cannot take it personal. Just trust God and know that in due time, it will be revealed. As long as you know you are releasing the word of the Lord, you can stand that his word will not return void. If you feel sketchy about it, then don't say nothing. But if you know that you know that you know that you know, you release that thing and release it with love. I'm not saying hurt nobody. Adjust to whomever you're dealing with and say what you need to say, because they should leave empowered and uplifted and aware of what's going on. But let it go and let it rest. Let it rest. It is not your job to force anything. It is not your job to beg people. It is not your job. The blood is on your hands, though, if God gives you an assignment and you don't do it and you don't say it. And that's just not with prophetic words and things to people. That's also as it relates to your own life. All right? Let me keep going. I want to give you some lessons as it relates to the irritation. Gosh, time be going so fast. So even when it comes to the irritations, as I've already kind of mentioned, number one, irritation, unrest opens up the door for a sense of awareness. It's a signal that something's wrong or something needs attention. And when you feel irritation, wherever you are, you begin to ask the Lord for discernment for it so you can be aware of what to do in your next steps. Number two, it's a motivation for change. Irritation motivates you to shift something, to stand up. Just like we saw with Esther, it made her stand up. We saw it with Moses. He saw the injustice, the cultural injustice, the political injustice. Same thing with Esther. It makes them stand up. So when you're seeing and hearing things on TV and all of that, it should make you stand up. That's what the irritation's for. It's not for you to get mad and just sit down somewhere and throw in the towel. It's to make you stand up and wake up. Wake up. Do what you've got to do. Number three, it's for personal growth. When you deal with irritation, it fosters resilience and adaptability. I can't tell you how many things I'm irritated by on my job. And the last years, and honestly, it still is irritating. But this year, I can actually say on a mental level, perhaps, it's not as heavy as it was the last 2 years for me. It's because at this point, I know the culture. And at this point, I know the way certain people move and how they have the way they move, right? And I've learned not to project even within myself. Because what happens is, we think about how we would do a thing when we see other people do a thing. And so even though we're letting them do it their way, in our subconscious mind, we're irritated because it's like, it really could have been easier this way. But you know what I've done? I work there. It's not my house. So I let it go. So it created personal growth. It's personal development. So irritation will foster change within you, so that way you can continue to do what you need to do in a particular space. Number four, it improves communication. Expressing your irritation can lead to positive discussions that clear the air and improve understanding as it relates to what's going on between individuals, between whatever. It opens up avenues for dialogue and conflict resolution. And that's what I want you to hone in on as well, because these irritations and these unrest, the enemy wants to take them and create wars. Every war, World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, all these wars and things that we've ever had, it all has been because horribly communicated irritations. It's supposed to happen. Let me just give you an example. When you think about a flower, perhaps, or whatever is growing from the ground, I'm quite certain there's a level of irritation as the root begins to push through the soil to make its way to the sunlight to bloom. It's a healthy push, though. Irritation will push you. Irritation will motivate you. Unrest will push you to bloom. So I want you to take all of this and not think about it in a negative context, but think about it and say, God, how can this political unrest, how can this ethical unrest, how can this religious unrest and irritation push me to bloom as a better son, push me to bloom as a better daughter, a better mother, a better friend, a better businessman, businesswoman. God is just simply trying to get you to bloom, because guess what? As I've been saying the last 3 weeks, what you bloom from today will be your new standard for tomorrow. What you comprehend today becomes your new measure of comprehension tomorrow. What you rise up and overcome today is now your new strength that you wake up for tomorrow. You don't have to wake up irritated. You can wake up in a newfound authority, a new dimension of grace, a new dimension of favor. How do you want your tomorrow to be? It will be what you allow yourself to wake up from today. You see how all this is coming together? What number did I stop on? I think it was personal. No, communication. Irritation also shows you prioritization. Irritation can help clarify what truly matters. And that's major, y'all. I've already said it. There's so many people fighting over stuff. And it's like, if you don't stand for something, you will fight anything, and it's not even making sense, and you're fighting stuff you're not even assigned to, and now you're trying to figure out why you feel tired and exhausted and drained, because you're fighting a fight that's not even your fight. You've been training to play soccer all your life, and now you over here playing baseball, and you're trying to figure out why you're not winning, because you're a soccer player. You are not a baseball player. Why are you over there? What are you doing? You're a classical dancer, and now you're over here doing hip hop and trying to figure out why you cannot do the hip hop moves. You were trained classically. Why are you over there? You're a country singer. Why are you trying to sing jazz? I'm not saying, hear my heart and what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you can't have aspirations and train, but what I'm saying is you're trained for one thing. Take your training and your skill set and your calling and use it. Stop trying to go put your skill and your talent somewhere that you weren't called to. You're a soccer player, not a baseball player. So again, irritation, excuse me. It shows you, or clarifies rather, what truly matters. And I want y'all to sit with that for real, for real. What truly matters to you? What is your thing? Even going back to that list of unrest and irritations I mentioned, what part of that matters to you? What part of that do you believe is your assignment? Number 6, stress relief. Even though irritation can be a stressor, it then can become stress relief. When you vent those frustrations and get that irritation out, it can give a sense of relief, because again, it's irritating you because it could be something you're called to. It's irritating you because you know there's more to life. It's irritating you because you know something is on the horizon. And so when you finally tap into what it is, it then becomes stress relief. And so just as someone was mentioning before about how do you know where you're supposed to be, you'll see fruitfulness, but also the stress will come off. Just like I told you with my job. Stress is still, it has stressors, but there's levels to this thing. There's like a mental, there's a physical, but you get what I'm saying. So you'll see that. Number 7, Irritation creates problem solving and creativity. In some cases, irritation can spark creativity by pushing us to think outside of our norms and outside of the box, to come up with innovative solutions. So irritation is an innovator. Irritation is a creative source. So please don't misperceive what God is trying to do in this next move of great change. God is going to use you to be an innovative and creative source in the midst of all of that. Let me look. I got a couple more notes here, but I know time is winding up. But let me see if this is what I want to jump into. Is this making sense, you all? I want to go into that. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into that. So understand that as we bring this all in, I told you all what I'm sensing by way of the Spirit is this irritation, this sense of unrest. I do not want you to misperceive it. The prayer and your focus is to discern what is the demonic form of unrest and what is the prophetic kingdom form of the unrest. And you must be able to discern and navigate the terrains of what looks to be two identical things, but they are different. And how you are to show up within the assignment on your life to be a voice of change in that. So, for example, with this new book I'm about to release, right now, and y'all know, I laugh because it's like it shifts every 3 to 4 weeks, my assignment. Even with this, we just went from talking about today's and tomorrow's, and now God's pivoting me over here to irritation and unrest and different things and all of that. But that's the way this thing goes. Thank y'all for being able to flow. Thank y'all for trusting God in me. I really, really appreciate that. Just want to throw that out there. Because I know that what this ministry does and who I am, it's different. It's different. And it's different. So discern between the two and know how to show up and release what God has called you to release in that. Because here again, even with that whole concept of today's and tomorrow's, what you do today prophesies to your tomorrow. So identify the area in which you're supposed to go. Let me scroll back up just to make sure I didn't miss anything. So again, I'll just say it just for those that got on late. Number one, we were identifying the irritations and the unrest. Number one was social unrest. Number two was political unrest. Number three was economic unrest. Number four was a labor unrest. 5 was a civil unrest. 6, cultural unrest. 7 was environmental unrest. And this is like an unrest and or irritation. Number 8 was an ethics unrest. 9, religious unrest. 10, youth unrest. 11, gender unrest. 12, health unrest. 13, racial unrest. 14, urban unrest. 15, educational unrest. 16, digital unrest. 17, housing unrest. 18, consumer unrest. 19, international unrest. 20, mental health unrest. So I want you to go through those and hone in on which of those unrest speaks to your spirit. Definitely pray concerning them all, because it's a trickle effect. All of these things will be affected, and that is still not even all of the unrest and irritations that there can be. But I want you to look at those areas and begin to focus and pray and ask God, how do I show up with these forms of irritation? And how can you take on the spirit and the mantle of an Esther, the spirit and the mantle of a Moses, the spirit and the mantle of a David, the spirit and the mantle of a Paul, and take those things that the enemy tried to use to shut you down and shut your mouth, but now use that irritation as a catalyst to awaken the leader in you, the political voice that you have. Y'all do understand that when it comes to like Dr. King and your Rosa Parks and all these other different individuals, they did not seek out to be a voice of change. They were just recipients of the injustice and the unrest and the irritation that plagued them, their families, and their communities. They didn't necessarily wake up and say, oh, I want to be this today. I want to be an influencer today. I want to be this. Our world does that because we've had leaders such as them that we can now mimic. They had no one to mimic. They had no one to copy. They had no one to, as a blueprint. They woke up and they saw the discomfort, they saw the unrest, and they just wanted to change it. Oftentimes, we're trying to think of a drastic thing of how can I be this global leader, whatever. Stop thinking that. Think about the problems you can solve. That's the goal. Start small. And what you do today accumulates for tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And next thing you know, I think I saw Will Smith say it. He used an analogy in his book about his grandfather or somebody. And he said his goal as a successful man and the highest paid man in Hollywood, he said, my goal was never to be the best actor, if you will. Of course, he wanted to do well. He said his goal was just to be the best he could be every day. And he used the analogy of bricks. I laid the best brick I can lay today. And if I laid the best brick every day, not trying to race anybody or compete with anybody or get distracted by anybody, I'm just laying my brick. I'm just doing my part. I'm just making my contribution. And next thing you know, you look up and you have a sturdy, strong, firm foundation wall. He didn't jump for the wall. He jumped to lay the perfect brick. And that's what I want these irritations to do to you, this spirit of unrest. I want all of these things, self-sabotaging unrest, because it's not just the things out there. There are also some things within you that you don't like about yourself. There are some irritations within you and your family that you don't like. There are some things that are in your subconscious mind that if you sat with it long enough, you'd be like, that really does irk my nerves. If we're going to be completely honest, deal with that too. But don't use that in a context to beat yourself up. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be all these things. We've got to get out of that misaligned religious context of trying to live up to standards that are killing us. No, I'm not saying go be crazy and live a life contrary to what you believe in. But what I'm saying is do your best. Do not beat yourself up and do the fullness of what you can do every single day. And that's also why I cannot wait to get this book into your hands, because the part of it that I didn't really teach you all, I mean, I kind of did, was how when you do that, though, it helps you nurture and unearth life once in a lifetime experiences. This is not just for you to help change the world, but in changing the world, it's going to change your world. In addressing these irritations, it's going to release the irritations in you. Helping others is going to help you. Creating a positive community is going to open up the doors for positivity for you. And then just like your Dr. Kings or whomever the modern day people are, I'm trying to think of somebody, but I can't right now, but y'all got somebody in your head. You think about that. Now they're inviting you to win Nobel Peace Prizes. Now they're inviting you to go to galas and balls and community events because of your initiatives. I've told you the same with me. I wound up getting the Goodwill Ambassador Award from the Secretary of State here in Georgia because of my community initiatives. I didn't do the initiatives. I didn't feed the homeless. I didn't do what I do in the school system looking for an award. It came because I found out what is my service. Here's another example as I rant and then we finish up. I grew up, y'all know my story, without a father, without certain things. That was an irritation for me. And so that's why now I'm in the school system, not as a teacher, but the operations, making sure the school is safe, the kids are safe. And when they get irritated with their teacher, the kids come and find me and sit in my office just to vent, just to get it out, just to have a voice of reason. I wish I had a father to vent to. I wish I had that. I didn't. That was an irritation. That was an unrest. So now it pushed me to be what I didn't get for somebody else. And now, because of that, I'm getting staff member of the year and I'm getting to do the things. What I'm trying to get you to realize is that's not the goal. The goal is identify the irritation, identify the unrest, show up and be the response, show up and be the answer, show up and be the change, and watch how it elevates your life. Because when you're in the will of God, it commands heaven to breathe on you. It commands it. You don't have to keep praying these prayers. God, can you do this? God, please, God, please, God, please. If you're in his will, it commands a blessing. It's like an insurance package. Whatever is in your package, you don't have to pray for it. It's part of the package. I don't have to ask for dental. I don't have to ask for vision. I don't have to ask for those things. It's a part of my package. But if I'm not within the rights of it, I can't use it. So some of these prayers we're praying are even a distraction. Just being 100. As pure as your heart might be, as sincere as it might be, some of the stuff that we're doing out of religious stuff. And it's like, just align, and everything will be okay. I'm going to hush, but I hope that blessed you. I hope that inspired you. I'll get the replay up. Our Father and our God, we bless you and thank you. I really, 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 really hope that this word that you gave penetrated the heart and the minds of your people, and that they heard distinctively what you were trying to say. Because again, effective communication is not just what's being said, but hearing the intent in which it was meant. So Father, I decree and declare that the intent was clear, the motive was pure, and that it awakens them and inspires them and helps them to navigate these next 6 to 7 months of drastic change and unrest and irritation, and help them to realize that all of it's not necessarily a bad thing, but that we will utilize this unrest and this irritation to wake up the greatness in them. You've done it before. You've been waking them up. You've been elevating them. You've been doing it. But now it's time to go to another level, from glory to glory to glory. So Father, we thank you in advance for every accolade, every award, every financial increase, every blessing and ounce of favor that these your people will receive, not because they're necessarily pursuing that, but because they're plowing through the irritation, they're plowing through the unrest, they're plowing through the self-sabotaging thoughts, they're plowing through the insecurities, they're plowing through the cultural unrest and political unrest and all these things, and they're harnessing the mantle and the anointing of Esther, and they're harnessing the spirit of David and the spirit of Moses, and they're standing up to be the voice of change in their communities, on their jobs, or wherever, even within themselves. I'm decreeing and declaring that you will be the voice of change even for yourself, to command your soul to be free, to command your mind to be free from shame and guilt and residue of the past, to command yourself to get out of your own way so you can show up as the full woman and man that God has called you to be for everybody else. It ain't just for them, it's for you. And I decree and declare that as you change today, your tomorrows, your consecutive tomorrows will forever be a positive result of the decisions that you made today. And I decree and declare that every day you wake up and make that decision to choose you, to choose your children, to choose God, despite what culture is saying, to stand firm, that you will create once in a lifetime experiences. And I'm decreeing and declaring that as you do this, you will live longer. Stress will leave your body. Pains in your neck will leave. Tension of the back will leave. I saw something, I don't know how true it was, the other day, where they said depression and all of those things are actually housed in your waist area of your body. And so, Father, I'm decreeing and declaring that even in that area, that depression, that whatever the scientific terminologies are to address the waist area and your spine and all of that, that as you begin to continue to obey God, that all those pressures will be released, that stiffness in your back and in your waist will be released, that swelling in your legs and your feet, all of that will be released, because you're in the will of God, and you'll begin to realize how all of these things are actually working together. But what the enemy meant for evil, we decree and declare now that it's now working for your good. You will live long. You will live strong. You will have the best life. You won't compare to anybody else. You are going to thoroughly enjoy your best life. Even for those that are married, I don't know why I'm sensing this. I'm sensing a renewal of excitement, even in your marriage. Like nothing's bad, so to speak. Like it's good. But sometimes, like with anything in life, you get in these cycles, if you will. But I'm speaking that there will be a resurgence of excitement, doing new things together, prioritizing the workload and the children and things of that sort, where you all are getting back to you again. I'm sensing that. And then even for those that are single and those who are in transition, or however you want to define it, that same thing, you won't feel like, oh, I'm single and I'm bored and I'm this and how come I don't have this? No, I'm decreeing and declaring that you will create once in a lifetime experiences in your singlehood that you probably couldn't do in marriage or whatever that looks like, but you're going to get a zeal again to live life, try something new, do something different, and you are going to live a happy life, not a churchy religious life, not a life consumed with your job, not a life consumed with what your family thinks you should be and all these generational things. I decree and declare that you are going to find you again and you are going to bloom. You are going to blossom. You are going to radiate. You are going to smile big. You're going to love hard. You're going to dance. You're going to do all these things, even in the midst of all these political unrest and irritations. It's not going to affect you because you are under a prophetic Goshen. You are under a different mantle that you're in the world, but not of the world. So, Father, we bless you, thank you, and honor you. And we declare these your people blessed in Jesus' holy, wonderful name. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Well, I hope this blessed you. If anybody wants to share anything real quick of what you heard, feel free to do so. Also, if I am your pastor or you just want to sow a seed because it blessed you, please feel free to do so. The giving links are there. And thank you for those that gave last week. Again, like I said, we were almost there to paying the 501c3 process off so we can move to the next phase. So I'm super, super excited. Again, if any of you are able to sow anything, whether it be above your tithe and offering or what you're able to do, again, no pressure, none of that. We don't do that here. I would just ask if you wouldn't mind helping so we can finally pay this off. We're literally right there and we can move to getting our grants and our things we need to stabilize this ministry to the next level and keep doing this kind of work. These types of messages need to get out, y'all. All of you have so much to offer and to give. And I cannot wait for what God is going to do to push us to this next level. So I thank you. And I thank God for each of you. I thank God for each of you. Yes, 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 yes. All right, go ahead, Tanya.
Good morning, man. This was so good. Oh my God. I can't, can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Um, um, there's just so many things. So it's so funny. Like lately I've been hearing, you've just been talking about, being consistent no matter what's going on. And I, about a little over a month ago, I established with my children, I'm like, you know what? God is speaking to me in this journey about discipline. And I felt that about a couple months ago. And I've used this. So I've been out here, I've come back to California, had to things are, transitioning, but in the midst of this, I'm like, let me put in some applications for a 9-to-5 job. So you can have that income, what to expect, have a schedule and, do your resume and like nothing coming back. Any job that I ask for, I get,
Yeah.
like that's how it's all. And I feel like even leading up to this, even prior to, what's happening now, I feel like I've been in certain jobs to learn certain things because I'm building a brand and,
Yeah.
house, even management, just learning how things work in the background, even with Starbucks, which is a company I actually love. You don't find very many companies that say one thing to the customer, but behind the scenes, they're preaching the same thing to their partners and, you know, loving on them. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, but I felt like even back then that this was building me to have my own. And so now, you know, I spoke to Chalet, you know, a while ago when I was beginning the DoorDash thing out here. I mean, I began it in Georgia about 2.5 years ago before initially moving to California, but I'd only did it a couple months, and you know, I had tweaked it to, you know, how I wanted to run it. I bought thank you cards, bought little
Mm-hmm.
shopping bags, put their things in it, bought mints and put it in a, you know, a sealed, you know, little sandwich bag, you know, just so to be protected away from their food, especially during that COVID
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Um, but I've had to do that again being out here. My son's schedule, this and the other. And I'm like, well, look, if no jobs are calling me back right now, I have to make this work for me.
Yeah.
And if people are profiting, I have to figure out why I'm not. You know what I'm
Right, right, right,
saying?
right,
And
right.
you know, and I'm like, I've been really great with time management, but there were certain things you were calling out that I'm like, man, I've maybe like been a little lazy in this, just gotten comfortable maybe,
Yeah, yeah.
where not holding myself accountable. And I'm like, and something said to me even then, discipline. I need you to be
Yeah.
disciplined, and people need to respect your time, because if you have a company, you don't have a schedule. You have to just come in and and work. You can't sleep and you can't eat until you bring in some money. And
Yeah.
that's how, you know, even I just think I gave a schedule to my kids. And you know that even last week you preached on um the what was it, the standards,
Oh,
or what you said tomorrow,
the boundaries today
the,
become the standard of
the
tomorrow. Yep.
for tomorrow. Yes, and so that was confirmation last week. I'm like, yeah, because my kids know I'm serious. I'm pulling off at a certain time. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of rank high dash, like the gold level. I'm like 20 dashes away from the platinum level, which is the top. I've met all the other requirements. And do you know, I saw my weekly go up and up, as because now I have access to do a schedule. Doesn't mean the calls within that time frame, but I have priority for a schedule.
Yes.
So I'll make a schedule 9 to 5:30 or not, whatever it could be. And I
Mm-hmm.
look at my schedule. You know, I treat it like I'm going in to someone's 9 to 5 or job.
Yes.
If I have a doctor's appointment, I plan around that. I tell the boys, I'm pulling off. You have to be on time.
Yeah.
And if I'm flexing for this, then you're going to have to be earlier for this. And, you know, I could see the increase in the weekly
Yes.
of the income. And, you know, and I've only been looking at it for about a month. And, you know, a couple of those weeks my car, you know, had car issues, overheating. But when I was, you know, when I've been on point, and then the weeks that the boys had something going on and they just popped it on my schedule, I saw the decline in at the end of the week paycheck. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm running this. They're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
to respect this time. And so I've just been seeing that discipline, because when you have your own company, your own business, your own brand, no one's telling you like Starbucks, oh, you have to be to work, because if you don't,
Right.
you're gonna
Right.
no, you
Right.
have to have self-discipline, and
Yes.
you know, and go after. And so it's just crazy. The other day a couple of things dropped in my spirit. I'm like, okay, oh, managing my time, even the downtime between, because you're not working. Just because you do a schedule doesn't, now it equals out at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
whatever, you're making over $30 an hour, blah blah blah. But also God's been speaking to me, and you spoke to it again even today. What are you doing with your time?
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized when I was waiting, you know, for you know, the next call to come in, I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I was on my phone, maybe, but I don't feel like I was productive. And I'm like, oh no, I have to be productive, because now I only have a small window, because my phone could go off for a customer and I have to
Mm-hmm.
stop what I'm doing to accommodate, you know. So I'm like, oh, I have this to do for my brand. Oh, I have this to do for this. Oh, I think all throughout I've been hearing, what are you doing with your time? Oh, even on the radio, that satellite radio, oh, when you're doing nothing, what podcasts are you listening to? You can always be educating yourself. What is it that you want to do? What do you want to
Mhm.
learn? Pull up a podcast. And I'm like, and lately, Pastor Levi, that's what I've been doing. I just listened to last week's Strategic Sunday for
Yep.
the third time yesterday. Just
Wow.
in my downtime, I was parked, I had you playing, but I was on my phone, like putting things out there. But
Yes.
the last couple days, Pastor Levi, it was something else you said. God can give you or whatever, but if you don't do anything with it, he'll pass it on to the next. And
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
that when you said it back then, because everything I said I wanted to do, like a podcast on TV, I would watch my sister doing it. And I'm like, why is she doing something that was never even on her? And I was like, wow, because it was put in me back then. And so this time, obviously, I'm doing it. But um, because you spoke to it back then, over the last couple of days, it dropped in my spirit. Like, you've been doing DoorDash, but these people in Newport Beach, they've asked you, oh, I forgot to do a double dash. And DoorDash charges extra. Can you do this run? I'll Venmo you. Here's my ID. Like, I can't drive. My husband, this literally happened. This lady's husband literally just died this week. She couldn't drive her car. She showed me her ID. She needed like a couple packs of cigarettes, and she paid me. And she just met me through DoorDash.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been promoting my business through my thank you cards, just, thanking them, for allowing me to serve them, for using DoorDash. I appreciate them, and basically signing it as, my brand, my business, the
Mhm.
Savvy Lifestyle Lounge, and have an amazing week, have an amazing weekend, or whatever it is for that moment. I handwrite them and
Yeah.
put them in the thing, promote my business. But the last couple of days, it says Savvy Concierge. That's the brand that,
Nice. I like
so I'm
that.
like,
I feel like I
yeah,
did
I'm
see
like,
that or something.
I started looking it up, and and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like, because people in Newport Beach, first of all, I'm in the community, my kids go to school, and I'm like, they want someone that they can just trust and feel like they can just call up firsthand, feel like priority. And guess what? I do the cards for that and put mints and candies and
Yeah.
thank you cards and handwrite them, because I would like that. I would want to feel special. And one
Yes.
lady, her order, Pastor Levi, was only like $9.50 that I was getting paid for it. That doesn't bother me, because like I said, it all evens out. In California, they have a mandatory minimum out here. You ain't,
Mhm.
it says you have to make this and pay mileage. So
Yeah.
they pay something else. But do you know, she went back in and gave me a $25 tip. She said, keep up the great work. She's like, I needed
Wow.
someone to be nice to me today. And I
Yeah.
was like, and something said, Savvy Concierge, you better get on and start researching it. But also, a lot of my posts, like a lot of things I post are motivational and inspirational. But a day or two prior to the Savvy Concierge, it said, make mugs. You love coffee, Tanya. You're always looking for the next greatest mug to keep it
Yes.
hot, sit on your patio, have a lifestyle. And that's
Yeah.
the Savvy Lifestyle brand. And like I said, I love coffee, but I want to look at something positive. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, something said, just start doing some of your quotes from your posts as the mugs. And I literally pushed it down, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Who makes mugs? How do I even put this thing on there? I
Mhm.
literally pushed it to the side, and something said, didn't Shalay and Pastor Levi tell you to be writing in your journal? And as things are happening, God is downloading, you better write to God. Just ask him
Uh-huh.
what the moment. I hadn't been writing it, but something, it stuck in my mental Rolodex. Like, you better stop being afraid. What did they say do in your downtime? Research stuff. And
Yeah.
so I start putting it in, like, just started researching Savvy Concierge, and something said the mugs, and so it's Savvy Sip Collection. And I
Nice. Nice.
when the mugs, I got on the site. I'm like, well, how can I do this? I found like a manufacturer. They upfront costs you don't have to worry about right now, and you can start designing your mug, putting your website out there. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, wow, it's stuff out there when you start researching it. And I'm like, it literally came over the last couple of days, and that's what I've been hearing. Like, having discipline, having a schedule,
Mhm.
what are you doing in your downtime? And suddenly, it's suddenly going to happen. I was out the other day in Starbucks. It's my favorite one, but I always go through the drive-through for 2.5 years. I've gone through the drive-through. The other
Mhm.
day, I want a freaking mug and to keep my coffee hot in here. And I had to go in, and they were still making my order. And they're like, Tanya, da, da, da. Even when I was gone in Georgia, they noticed and they
Yeah.
missed me. A couple people from the gas station out here, Starbucks. So I a guy walked up to me, just some guy out of nowhere, Pastor Levi, and something's been saying, stay ready, get ready, because it's just gonna happen. If somebody asks
I'm
you, what
telling
do you
you.
do? You got to be able to say what you do. And this guy said, are you, I just walked in, I had like a guy's girl shirt on, I came in after a workout between my door dashes, and I'm like, please don't go off, and he's like, are you real estate? And I'm like, no. And he's like, what do you do? And I just see the founder and CEO of the Savvy Lifestyle Lounge and the Savvy Lifestyle brand. I lead a brand dedicated. And he was like, oh my God, he's like, the Savvy Lifestyle, we all want a savvy lifestyle, and he's like,
Yeah.
y'all follow her. And he's like, and you have a podcast? He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what, Savvy Wife, Savvy Life? He's like, so everything is savvy, so we can find you on. And then he's like, and somebody was writing it down, this girl Lexi, who knows me, she's like, hey Tanya, and I know her by name. She's like, I didn't know you had a podcast. She literally stopped and started writing things down, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what people mean, stay ready. And I even when
Mhm.
that happened, I'm like, yeah, I want to get a little bit better. Like, as I was able to roll it off right now,
Yeah.
it was just at that moment in conversation, but I'm like, oh no, the next time, what if it is a more structured environment and everybody is on or that one? And it made me just even more fine tweak it to know. And that's when the two other things dropped, the concierge and the
Yeah, yeah,
mugs.
yeah, yeah. I'm I'm
Wow.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And not to cut you off, but my laptop is about to die. But but I want to say I'm extremely, extremely proud of you from even what you said earlier about taking accountability, where you were saying to yourself, could I be doing this more or do this more? I even like what you said concerning with the timeliness with your kids and you holding them accountable, because and this goes back to the message of when we make certain decisions, it affects the next generation, whether it be your kids or somebody else. And so you're already tapping into generational prioritization, generational boundaries and setting them, because again, today's boundaries are tomorrow's standards. And so I just want to compliment you on that, because that's major. I know people where I see their children being a direct replica of what some of their parents do, and they get it honest, but some of those traits aren't good. There's some I see and I'm like, oh, that ain't good. That's not a good trait, but to see you doing that speaks volumes. You even mentioned too with like being an entrepreneur about how, again, you have to set your own stuff. I want to give this quick tip and then I'll move on if anybody else wants to share really, really quick, because again, I got like 5% on here that's about to die. Um, um, Oh, I just lost it. You were saying with being a business owner, discipline. Dang. When I was doing the book, right? Another business tip for y'all, for those who are entrepreneurs or whatever, start thinking of ways, because of course you do need to take a break, right? Within reason. No one's saying work until you just whatever. But do things like if it's a group project or you have a vendor. So like, for example, with this book, I had to contract a graphic designer for the book cover and do the photo shoot and all the kind of thing to do ahead of time. So that way, when I'm now at my job working on something else or sleeping, while I'm sleeping, the business is still being worked on. You get what I'm saying? They're editing, they're designing. So I'm saying that to say, when you all are creating ideas, so like with the savvy lifestyle and all of that, what are things you can do to have your affairs in order, that then if you hire someone else to now do the next phase of it, the incorporating, whatever the case may be, that is working while you're taking a break. Because I don't know, for me, it's hard for me to truly take a break. Even if I'm laying down, it's so hard for my mind to rest knowing that something wasn't submitted, or I didn't at least put something in someone else's hand with a timeline and a deliverable date for them to get back to me. So literally the other day, I was so overwhelmed just from the magnitude of things we had at work. The day that that shooting happened, if some of y'all might have heard about it, we were doing our national intruder drill. There's like a national drill that you do. And then, of course, like fire drills, intruder drills, tornado drills, you can kind of pick when you want to do them throughout the year. But the exact time we did our intruder drill, which is like a lockdown drill, if there's ever gun violence and things of that sort, is the same time. There was a school here in Georgia where I think they said 15 people were shot and killed. And it was happening at the same time. I was like, what in the world? And so then we did that, followed by a fire drill and all these different things just in the working day. It was a lot while trying to get this book done. And I got home and I couldn't even get to the book. I had to just go lay down. I was like, I need 3 hours. I just need 3 hours because I just can't. But my point of saying that is when I woke up to an email saying, hey, the design is complete. That excited me because I was able to rest. But while I was resting, because I was literally at my wit's end for that day, it was still working. So I'm just saying that to say, to your point, and thank you for sharing that. As a business owner, as a creative, start thinking before you take that vacation, before you go to sleep at night, what is that last email? What is that last thing you can submit and do? Because I found for me, waking up to completed work is such a blessing as a business owner. It's such a blessing. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm so excited and proud of you. I really, really am. Stay in that vein and keep going. All right. Anybody else want to share something real quick? I got 3%. If not, we'll get out of here. But if anybody wants to share anything real fast. All right, cool. I see y'all. All right. Well, listen, feel free to text me. For those that I owe text messages to and voice notes to, I'm gonna get to it today. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for not crucifying me. But no, thank you for your patience. Like I said, it was just a very, even what I just shared, now you know even the more context. It was a week. It was a week. But I love y'all. Go do something to make yourself laugh today. I'll see you this time next week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Feel free to invite somebody to join us if you feel like this is the type of ministry and group gathering that they could be edified and enriched from, and all of that. But I love y'all. Same time next week. Have a productive week. Stay focused. And like I said, go back and listen to this. Look at those irritations. Develop prayer points for those irritations. And understand how to show up in those spaces. All right. I love y'all, and I will see you later.